great Scott!
Are you a sports fan who loves to have a good laugh?
Oh, yeah!
Then you're in the right place.
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
Life moves pretty fast.
Patriots win the
Welcome
Super Bowl!
to the Man Cave Chronicles.
Brady has his fifth!
Welcome to another episode of the Man Cave Chronicles podcast, a podcast of talk culture where everyone has a story. This week, my guest is comedian, magician. You've seen him on America's Got Talent. Now he's performing in Las Vegas. Piff The Magic Dragon. Piff, welcome to the cave.
Thanks for having us.
What's new with you?
Not much. I am in Vegas. I've got a rare week just in Vegas. We just came back from Calgary in Canada, and then in a couple of weeks I'm going to Chicago. So I've got some nice downtime in my Vegas cave. Yeah. So obviously dragons love caves. We're big cave fans, which is one of the reasons I agreed to do your podcast.
There you go. So you've been in Vegas for almost a year now?
No, 2.5.
2.5?
2.5 years with my own show.
Okay.
And 4 years total, because before I was doing my own show, I was doing a little part in two or three other shows actually.
Yeah. How many nights a week do you perform?
7.
Wow.
Either we try and do about 4 or 5 nights in Vegas a week, and then we tour the other 2 or 3 nights.
Yeah. So tell the listeners a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
I grew up in London, England, sunny London, England, and I was there for like 33 years, and then I just could not deal with the shitty weather anymore. So I abandoned it and moved to Vegas to be in the sun. And I've been a magician for about 20 years now, full time.
Yeah. What as a kid, like, what were you into?
I was like, I guess a bit of a nerd when I was a kid. I was like into computer games, juggling, and one of my hobbies was doing magic.
Yeah.
And then when I went to university to get a degree in IT, and while I was there, I started doing a lot of magic shows to pay my bills. And so when I left university, I thought, well, let's just carry on doing the magic.
Yeah. How did you get into magic? Did you do you have like some favorite magicians you looked up to, and like how did you learn the craft of magic?
There was a show called Stuff the White Rabbit, which had like a lot of sleight of hand magicians, because I don't really like much of the. I always think it's something like 96% of magic I don't like. All the sort of dancing girls and the big boxes and all the running around pointing at stuff. I'm not a big fan of that. So I began seeing these guys on this TV show, and they'd be doing card tricks. They had a lot of comedy in with their acts. It was as funny as it was like card tricks or magic, and I thought, that's what I like doing that, and so I started learning card tricks, and it sort of went from there.
Yeah. So tell the listeners, like, how did you come up with the act that you performed?
Piff the Magic Dragon.
Yeah.
Well, what happened was I was doing magic full time, and magic's like a catering industry. It's like a service industry. You book a wedding, you book the champagne, you book the canapes, and you book the magician. So I was definitely, I just didn't fit into that world. I was just too grumpy for my own good. I would get fired everywhere. People would be like, "What is your problem? You're like the era of magic." So it became an issue. I didn't really have much work. And then one day I went to a costume party, and I didn't have a costume to wear. So I said to my sister, "Do you have anything I can wear to this party?" She said, "Yeah, I got a dragon outfit under my bed." And I didn't ask any more questions. Neither should you, as my sister. So I go to this party in a dragon outfit, and nobody else is in costume. It's literally just me.
Wow.
And so I was looking appropriately grumpy for once, drinking red wine in the corner. And my friend said, "You should do this in your act. You could be Puff the Magic Dragon." I said, "Wait, I could be Piff the Magic Dragon." You might have heard of my older brother, Steve. So I did it. And as soon as I did it, I was like, "This is the future," because it just made it made my general personality socially acceptable.
Yeah. And how did you get like Mr. Piffles involved in that?
Well, I went to Edinburgh after about a year and a half. I did my first Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and you have to do an hour-long show for that. And I've been doing 20 minutes and 30 minutes before that. So when I did my first hour-long show, I just thought, you know what, this act sort of needs, it'd be great to have another hook in it. And the girl who was running the venue in Edinburgh, she had a Chihuahua, and my publicist at the time said, "Hey, we should put that dog in the show tonight." So we did it, and it worked so great. The next day, we went out and bought Mr. Pickles.
How long did it take you to train Mr. Piffles with your act?
Well, he doesn't really do anything, because I thought it would be a lot funnier just to have a dog that did nothing.
So you just,
and then pretend he's doing these magic tricks, because a lot of magic, you're pretending that something is happening, and you're either assigning that to your supernatural gifts, or maybe whatever it is. And I thought, well, why not assign those powers to a dog?
Yeah. How did you decide you wanted to combine comedy and magic together? And how did it come naturally to you?
Yeah, that was just a natural thing of, I just couldn't help myself but, make funny remarks to people, or, sort of roast people when I was doing magic. And in the end, I was sort of doing that at these corporate dinners or these weddings, and people were getting upset by it. So I thought, oh, well, if I'm not going to stop doing this, then I should really take this into, the appropriate environment, which was comedy clubs or cabaret shows.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite comedian that you looked up to, and magician?
Oh yeah, tons. I mean, I love Penn and Teller, and one of the great things about being in Vegas has been, being able to become friends with those guys, and they've been a huge help to me. Penn just shot. He was the guest star at the end of our sitcom special that we just shot in Las Vegas. So seeing those guys and growing up with those guys, they're sort of two of the greatest magicians to ever live, really. Yeah. And then comedians, I love people like Seinfeld, Louis C.K., Chris Rock, Bill Hicks growing up, Dimitri Martin, Steve Martin, Stephen Wright. I really loved, I was very much into the comedy scene, and there were, a ton of people in the UK that I could name as well. Yeah. So I sort of have very, 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 wide taste in comedy. And if I just love, love laughing, and I love being able to make people laugh.
Yeah. And all those comedians you just mentioned, they all have a distinct, the way they present their jokes, they'll say a joke and they'll look at you seriously in the face. And I've noticed that's how part of your act is too, the way you joke around with people.
Yeah, I sort of like that. I always like that sort of sarcasm and deadpan vibe. It definitely suits what I do a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, a lot of it is just kind of it's born out of stage time. It's not that it comes naturally, it's just born out of being on stage a lot. And often it really is just my natural reaction to whatever ridiculous situation I've got myself into now.
Yeah. So how did you decide one day you were just gonna, I'm done living in England, I'm just gonna get up, I'm just gonna go to the US? Did you just go right to your parents and said, I'm out of here, I'm going there?
Yeah, right. No, I was I did a show called Penn and Teller Fool Us in the UK, and that became it's sort of like that clip went viral. So I was starting to travel all over the place. I was all over the UK touring, and I was going to Australia quite often. And out of the blue, somebody wrote to me and they said, "Hey, we want to get you to, we want to book you for this Vegas show we're doing." And I, of course, I was like, "This is ridiculous. It will never happen." but I met the guy when he was in Australia, and he saw the show, and he said, we want to make this happen. We want to get you to be a part of this show, this big show we're doing. So, my agent at the time, she met with them in New York, and she said, I think they're serious about this. And I thought, we did a deal where I was supposed to do my solo show as well as be a part of this show. So I signed a 10-year contract. I moved to America because I had a feeling that America would, embrace the act because it is, it's magic, which is much more popular in America than it is in the UK. There's that sort of deadpan English sensibility to it, which again is ironically much more popular in the US.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's give it a go, see what happens. Maybe it'll be a disaster, but it's worth the risk. I came over, and it was like a 3-month rehearsal process for the show, and everyone in the show, nobody got it. Nobody in the rehearsal process really understood my act or what I was about, and they were all kind of like going, well, this isn't going to be funny. And then when the show opened, it was like one of the 2 things that were successful in this show. It was sort of the rest of the show kind of bombed. Was that my act and these tap dancers were the one of the much more successful things in the show. And so Vegas, which is a very small community, suddenly they sort of took the whole act to heart, and the local press loved it. I was getting like Shania Twain coming to the show, and inviting me down to her show, and all these like crazy things were going on, and that show was burning through cash. It was like burning, I don't know, $60,000 a night or something crazy.
Wow.
So I could see the writing was on the wall from the beginning of that show. I was like, this is not that. So I got a green card. I applied for a green card, and I got a green card, and then about a week after I got the green card, this show closed. The show closed in Vegas, and so then I was just stuck in America, and I was like, oh well, what should I do now? And I thought, well, I love it out here. I love being in Vegas. I love the weather in Vegas. I love the city. I love being in America generally. I thought, well, let's try and stay here. So I pitched my solo show around to a bunch of casinos. Almost got it. Got the show up in a couple of places. One, just after the guy was like, okay, look, we're going to do this, the hotel got bought, and the president who greenlit my show lost his job. And then the next time the hotel got blown up, just around the time they were going to do the show. So it was like, it was a bit like, 1 step forward, 2 step back.
Yeah.
And eventually I was like, well, I think I'm going to go on America's Got Talent and see what happens, because there wasn't really any other alternative at the time. There's no Tonight Show anymore. It's like, the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, maybe like 1 million or 2 million people watch it. That's probably like high. And even when they watch it, it doesn't really make much of an impact. It used to be like, Lance Burton, who's one of the old Las Vegas headlining magicians, he went on Johnny Carson, and that was his career. That was his career made. And that was really the big thing. And that doesn't exist anymore. So the equivalent of that now is America's Got Talent, which is a super strange fit for my act, because my act is a sort of comedy club act. But it was also available, and they were great to work with. So I went on that show, and they sort of film a couple of rounds before the public even see anything. And that's one of the dogs going crazy.
That's okay.
Look at that. Hey, Piffles, bad Piffles. So they filmed these 2 rounds, and then in the summer of 2015, they started airing them, and then it just blew up. It was crazy. It just went, it just became monster.
Yeah.
And off the back of that, we toured all over America, Canada, selling out all over the place, and I started a show in Las Vegas.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite moment being on that show?
Yeah, it was really fun because it took them a while to get into it because I was so like, look, I'm not gonna, I was like, I'm never gonna come out of costume. So they would say to me, can you come to rehearsals today and can you bring a change of clothes? And I would say no. And they would say, well, can you just do it? And I would say no. And they said, well, look, we just expect you to see you in costume tomorrow. And then I would turn up in my dragon outfit with nothing underneath. And they would be like, really? And I'm like, yeah, this is what we're doing, guys. And then they started seeing how funny it became. And so as soon as that happened, then everyone, who works on the show, and they've got a great creative team, everyone was sort of jostling to do really fun stuff. From the beginning, I didn't count winning because, I just looked at it like, here's millions of dollars of advertising.
Yeah.
And so, I was always like, guys, what's the best way to get through to the next round? But, be funny. And so in the finals, we ended up shooting Piffles out of a cannon.
Yeah.
Because people got so upset. I did this trick with 4 boxes where there were 4 boxes hanging from the ceiling. And I said, inside one of the boxes is Mr. Pickles. The other 3 boxes contain the hopes and dreams of Mr. Pickles. In other words, they're empty. And then I destroyed 3 of the boxes, opened up the last one, and Mr. Pickles was safe and sound. So I did this, and we worked a lot on the actual magic tricks, and the magic trick looked really good. And Heidi Klum stormed up to me after the show, and she said, why would you put Mr. Pickles in a box? And for the first time, I realized that, people are taking this magic way too seriously. I said, Heidi, the dog's not in a box. I'm not going to trust the life of my Chihuahua to Howie Mandel on a 1 in 4 shot. It's just a magic trick. So as soon as I realized that, we had, and I was like, well, let's get to the finals and shoot a dog out of a cannon because I guarantee I'm not going to win by doing that, and that'll be really funny too. Yeah. So we did that, and I'd always had this, because I've been in Vegas for so long, I'd always had this vision. In Vegas, you have like Terry Fator, who won America's Got Talent. You've got Matt Franco, and they have these big billboards, and they say, Terry Fator, the winner of America's Got Talent. Yeah. And I thought it'd be really funny to have a billboard that said Piff the Magic Dragon, the loser of America's Got Talent. So now if you come to Vegas, then those billboards are everywhere. So from the outset, I was like, let's get all the way to the end and then go down in flames. So that was the plan, really. And stuff like, so that meant like I wasn't really, obviously the trick had to be good, but it was much more like, what could I do while they're judging me? Because, that's always the stupid bit with these shows is like, you're up against some 5-year-old who's like, about to burst into tears if they lose. And they're sort of telling you what they think. And now Howard Stern was on the show, who I love. So I was happy to listen to what Howard Stern was saying, and the same with Howie Mandel. But Mel B, I mean, I love the Spice Girls, but I don't really care what Mel B thinks about comedy. Yeah. So she would give me her opinion, and I'd be like, I don't really care what you're saying, Mel, right now. So my solution to that was, make a sandwich or eat a banana or try and kiss Heidi. Yeah. Yeah. So that was sort of that was my favorite stuff to do on that show. Was anytime I was really messing with them, then I was having a good time.
Was the audition in Vegas, or did you have to go to California?
The first audition was in Vegas, which was like in front of producers. Yeah. So that's like a non-televised one. And then the first proper audition was in New York because it was when Stern was doing it still. So yeah, I had to fly. I flew to Vegas. I flew to New York. I did this audition, and then I had to go to London. Like I was there for like 2 hours. I was in New York for 2 hours. So I had to go to London immediately to do another show. So I was like tired and jet lagged, and I had to get back on a flight. So when I was waiting to go on, Nick Cannon was backstage. It was when he still did it. He was backstage, and he was like, "So Piff, you must be really excited to be here." And I was like, "Well, not really. I just want to do this, go home. I'm hungry, I'm tired, and I don't really know why I'm here." So I go on, and I get like this great reaction. I get a standing ovation from all the judges. People are going crazy. Cannon went. And I was like, well, not really, because I'm tired and I've got to go back to London. So him and I never really saw eye to eye.
I know, like, you guys have, all the magicians have, like, this, rule that you can't tell how you do magic tricks and everything. But, like, how do you come up with your...
No, I don't really give a shit about that stuff.
How do you come up with your tricks? I mean, like, how do you decide what
the
tricks you want to do?
The main reason I don't tell people how the magic trick works is because normally it's not that interesting.
Yeah.
Normally it's just a disappointment to find out. Yeah. And the truth is that most magic tricks work because I put way more effort into something than anybody would ever believe. Yeah. So, you're seeing something, you go, oh, maybe he's got a secret photocopier somewhere and he's like, got this incredible, like, high-tech thing. It's like, sometimes that's not a million miles from the truth. It's just we've got the most ridiculous, method to make these tricks happen. And, that's the thing you sort of want to just, it's just not really that, you don't want to spoil it for people.
Yeah. You ever had a trick that, like, backfired you on stage?
Many times.
Yeah.
Many, many times. That's the nice thing about magic, though, is that unlike comedy, where, the joke just bombs, or unlike juggling, where, if you miss a trick, you drop it and it's over. With magic, the audience doesn't always know if it's gone wrong. Yeah. So you can often, like, get yourself out of sticky situations, which I've done a lot. But yeah, I've had some times when, I think there was one thing we did on America's Got Talent where they, they had a bad camera angle, and that's all people care about. They're like, your whole trick's gone wrong, and it's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, so that's one of the burdens of doing magic.
Yeah. Have you ever been heckled on stage? And
yeah.
And how did you?
I get heckled all the time, and I get two types of heckle. One is the drunk heckle, where they're just sort of, they're just too drunk. They don't know where they are. They don't know what they're doing. A lot of the time, people want to take part, which is like the worst kind of heckle because it comes from a good place. If somebody's being an idiot, then it's much easier just to, shout, shut them down, and eventually they'll get kicked out. They keep heckling, but often people they love the act so much they just want to join in. And it's very, very difficult to be mean to an encouraging heckle.
Yeah. You ever had, like, a drunk person come on stage or anything?
Oh yeah. Oh, I've had many drunk people come on stage. I've had people try and throw props at me. I've made people absolutely furious because I'll be insulting them or whatever, and they're too drunk and they don't know how to take it. Or they'll do something stupid and then I'll sort of just ream them out for it. And so we got all sorts. I had a woman last night, she just stood up. She tried to go to the bathroom and she went the wrong way. And she went downstairs into our dressing room. And everyone saw this. And she's literally standing behind the curtain, refusing to go back out because she doesn't want to be made fun of because she's gone the wrong way. And I just, I'm just in front of the curtain, like, hurling abuse at her. So she probably had a good point. But
what? So you said you've been touring. Like, what are some of your favorite places you've been to?
Well, we tour out of Chicago, LA, New York, Kentucky is one of my favorite. There's a place in Lexington, Kentucky, which we have a great time in. Florida. All over Florida. It's because I bring my, I guess I go somewhere and I bring my own audience. I'm not really, I spent the first 10 years of my career playing to people who didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
So now I'm bringing my own fans there, and so wherever I go, we have a great time. Canada, they're a little bit more reserved, but you just have to win them over in a slightly different way. Yeah. But we love touring all over America.
Yeah. Now, did you just finish filming your hour special?
Yeah, we've finished filming the live part,
okay.
And now it's being edited.
Yeah,
that's what I was doing yesterday. I was in the edit suite for that all day, and then we're gonna we might put some out and about stuff in Vegas into it as well.
Yeah, where is this gonna be released on?
Oh, whoever buys it.
Whoever buys
That's
it.
the way it is now. Yeah. It's like, you make it first and then sell it second.
So you try to pitch it to like Netflix or Hulu or something like, or Comedy Central?
Yeah, somebody like that. Yeah. Whoever's going to show it to the most people.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your. You have a podcast also called the Piff Pod.
Yeah, I do, which is me talking to whoever is around, each week. It's just fun because, we're always all over the place, and there's all this, there's always this crazy stuff happening on stage, backstage, wherever. And so it's just a fun, way to kind of like keep everyone up to date on that. And, for people who like the show, they can sort of listen behind it. They can listen behind the scenes.
Yeah. Do you record the podcast even when you're touring too?
Yeah. I just have a little, just a little digital recorder, and we record it all over the place.
Yeah.
If we're in Vegas, we'll record it in the dressing room maybe. If we're on the road, we'll just record it wherever we are.
Yeah. Lastly, tell listeners where, how can they find you on social media?
Well, piffthemagicdragon.com, or Facebook is Piff the Magic Dragon, Twitter is the Piff, and then Instagram is Piff the Magic Dragon as well. And there's like a YouTube channel, Piff the Magic Dragon. So basically, if you just Google Piff the Magic Dragon, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to tell listeners before we end this?
I think we're good.
All right. Thanks for coming on. This was a blast. Hope I get you back
Thanks,
on.
buddy. Oh, yeah, anytime. Yeah.
All right.